how do you gauge sort of these last few games of the regular season? Because in every sport, it's very different. As we know, week 18 of the NFL, it's just a big, giant crapshoot. College basketball, my field of expertise, typically guys are actually still trying for seeding, what have you. You're not going to be noticing really a lot of rest there. But how would you gauge the last few games of the NBA regular season? Because I think that it is very tough to bet on because there's varying motivations with all these teams.
Yeah, there's varying motivations, Greg, and the market tends to really overvalue said motivation, right? So we'll go to Sacramento and Dallas that played earlier today. Dallas gets a win, 123 to 119. They closed as 6-point favorites, though, over a Sacramento team that they should not be favored over by 6 points, even at home. That should be closer to like 2.5, 3. And here we are, right? They end up winning, but they don't cover. And I think that's what you're doing is you're actually kind of tending to play more on teams that don't have much motivation because the market really overvalues it. Let's go back to Tuesday as well. We'll use the Kings as one more example. They're on the road against the Pelicans. Pelicans need a win to improve their seeding in the play-in. They close as 4.5-point favorites. That number should have been like 2.5, 1.5. And what happens? The Kings go out, win 121 to 103. So like the market has really, really overvalued these teams that have a lot to play for. So you're looking to kind of play against that notion. And I would also recommend, Greg, something I do. I'm cutting unit sizes in half. You don't know what's going to happen in terms of motivation. You don't know what's going to happen in terms of rotations at the end of some of these games. And I think that's what you're trying to play against. Those are some really big factors. And it's something we talked about in the podcast, most recent episode. And a lot more people like Kelly use a little bit more in terms of money line parlays on some of these teams that maybe are a little overpriced, but you still want to use them in some of those situations. But I think cutting those units down a little bit and playing against the motivation deal I think is a really big factor for you down the stretch.
Visit VSiN.com to get current odds, listen for free, find showtimes, and download VSiN sports betting podcasts.